Designer Notes Subject 52. It's not so often that we can or have to do do-overs, but you all deserve better. In our previous review of the Moser Cie Streamliner, we mentioned a few things that should be clarified, and some even corrected. So, for the Streamliner Flyback Chronograph, justice needs to be served. The Moser Cie Streamliner has been making waves at the beginning of this year that culminated in a tsunami of admiration and accolades. In the Grand Prix de Horlogerie de Genève, the Streamliner Flyback Chronograph won the best chronograph of 2020. It's an understatement to say that the Streamliner deserves it. Now, with the release of the Funky Blue version, it's a foregone conclusion that we need to talk about it. Like, comment, and subscribe for content you'd like to see next. Follow us on Instagram at Design Atelier Aruba for behind-the-scenes content. Submit your pics and videos to designatelierviewer@gmail.com. The whole case design is inspired by the 1920s locomotive design, and even the namesake also suggests this. This provides a clean and minimal aesthetic that is not embodied in most modern sports chronographs. The dimensions are 42.3mm, that's acceptable for the modern chronograph standards, but it's bigger than the Streamliner center seconds that measures at 40mm. The thickness is 14mm with the crystal and 12mm without it. The cushion case is slightly different in proportion to the center seconds as well, which can be attributed to the large dial diameter and of course because of those pushers that were added by the flyback chronograph. The crown is also moved at the 4 o'clock position, or should we say was originally at this position anyway, since the center seconds, which has the crown at 3, came after the flyback model. The case is decorated all over with various finishes, and yet it maintains a uniform identity. The front of the case is sunray brushed, while the sides have a mixture of mirror polish and vertical satin finish. Both the dial and display case back are made of durable sapphire crystals. The crystal on the flyback is boxed compared to the domed crystal of the center seconds. This boxed crystal distorts the dial tastefully along the sides, a very desirable quality for enthusiasts. This case is rated at 12 atmospheres or 120 meters water resistant. This case is also designed to resist fluid entry even at the chronograph pushers. A favorite feature of the case that we alluded to earlier is the mirror polished sides. These flows all the way to the chamfer of the bracelet, and this contributes to the integration of the bracelet to the case. While on the topic of integrated bracelets, the Streamliner shines as one of the best integrated bracelets in recent memory. While most popular integrated bracelets breaks the line flow of their respective watches, the Streamliner doubles down on these lines even down to the finishing. This bracelet is separated by beautiful mirror polished waves in between the links. Something worth noting is that these links are slightly raised at the center that makes it easy to view the fine polished edges. This tapering bracelet makes it appear smaller at the wrist. A big upside for this is that customers have remarked that it's quite comfortable to wear. This is fastened by a butterfly clasp that has the Moser shield engraved at the link. The dial treads the line of minimalist and functionality very well. There are no hour markers on the Streamliner Flyback. These were all included in the center seconds version and completely absent here. We have a racing-inspired checkered seconds scale that's peppered with red lines every 5 seconds. There's a units per hour scale written at the flange of the dial, which is a helpful scale for the flyback chronograph. The top of the dial is bejeweled with a large applied 60 numeral. This visually anchors the eye quite well with the Moser branding right underneath it. The original Streamliner Flyback had a vertically brushed fume dial done in anthracite gray. It's very distinctive and special, appropriate for the limited run piece. For the regular production run, we are now given Moser's Funky Blue dial with a sunray finish. It's elegant looking, albeit hinting at a popular trend. But who are we to complain? We have 4 hands here that is all mounted at the center of the dial. The hour and minute hands are broad and straight, that's pleasingly curved at the tip. These hands also use Moser's in-house Global Light loomed ceramic, which enables the hands to have a thick 3-dimensional profile that's illuminated even at the sides. Then we have the 2 chronograph hands. The red flyback seconds hand springs into action smoothly with the activation of the chronograph pusher. This seconds hand extends all the way to the fractions of the seconds scale at the outer rim of the dial. Being a flyback chronograph, you can reset the seconds hand without stopping the movement. Once you do stop the movement, you can reset both hands with the reset pusher. Behind this seconds hand is the jumping minute hand that, as the name suggests, jumps at the next minute of the scale rather than gradually reaching this stage of the lap. It's worth mentioning that this is the first automatic chronograph with centered hands. There's no running seconds here, but we're used to seeing that with Moser watches anyway. This incredible achievement from the small family-owned company can be attributed to this remarkable chronograph developed by Angenor. For those of you who are not familiar with Angenor, this is a world-renowned atelier that has collaborated with award-winning Swiss brands such as Harry Winston, Fabergé, Hermes, and NBNF. Now they can add Moser Streamliner on that award's mantle. This HMC 902 automatic chronograph is equipped with a column wheel and hybrid horizontal clutch. It has 2 barrels that can output 54 hours of power reserve. And amazing to note is that despite being an automatic caliber, you don't see a winding rotor. The bidirectional rotor is actually located at the dial side, leaving everyone to marvel at the chronograph movement and its finishes. And there is indeed so much to marvel at. There's beautiful Côte de Genève and engrange finishes all over its components. This wonderful movement is also capable of being operated even while underwater. Self-respecting watch enthusiasts know one of the cardinal don'ts of using a mechanical movement is don't ever use the pushers when underwater, because water would seep into the movement. This is why many chronographs have screw-down pushers. The Streamliner, however, can do this. Not that you would push it anyway. This chronograph is worth over 40 grand. It's definitely not affordable, but Moser bets that thousands of you will buy it nonetheless. 100 of you certainly bought the limited run, and this one will be produced indefinitely. Moser, of course, only manufactures a few thousand pieces every year among all of their watch lines, so don't expect this one to saturate the market. The center seconds is already being offered at over double the retail, and we saw one of the limited flybacks being offered at over 8 grand more than what it originally sold for. It seems that it will only go up in prices if they ever become available. With the GPHG win last week, the Moser Streamliner Chronograph is now vindicated. Many of us anticipated it would take home the award, and deservingly so. It's sleek, fresh, and technically advanced. You're more likely to meet your favorite pop star than even see one of these in the wild. And yes, it now comes in blue too. Moser knew what it was doing here, carefully crafting a smash hit, do-overs not necessary. It was expected that it's only a matter of time until Moser releases a mass production version of the revered chronograph. With the Funky Blue Streamliner Flyback, the time, and we dare say Moser itself, has finally arrived. Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite. Mr. Sweeney writes, "Good job on the video. Great watch. And to say that the GO, or Glasuta Original, is more costly than the Rolex is not true. Maybe retail, but anyone watching this video knows even no dates are hovering around $11,000. Mr. Sweeney is right, actually. And even though I'm mostly talking about retail, it is true what Mr. Sweeney said, that at this point you're more likely to really win the lottery than to get a Submariner, even if it's a no date. And it really is hovering at around $11,000. But that's real life costs and prices. If you really want something, you're gonna have to pay a premium for it, especially if it's like in demand. But we appreciate that. We want to like really consider the real life cost of these watches, and the Glasuto Original, even though it's $10,000, is readily available, and it's really incomparable when it comes to real life scenarios. But in retail, it is more expensive than the Submariner. We recently had like a very interesting video in the watch community. In Reviews had this great story about buying watches online, about scams, and a really feel-good story about perseverance. We really encourage our viewers to watch this video. I'm going to link the video down below, and we would like to ask you to support Amin Reviews. Like and comment and subscribe to his channel. He has some great reviews and great insight about the watch industry, and weekly has a very good panel of commentators and of people discussing watches in general.